my name's Tom, and we're going to welcome you all here this afternoon for a launch of our National Hunt Racing in Meath morning. So we'll be chatting to everyone. A panel will be assembled in time, I guess. It might take a little while. One or two people are slightly delayed, so we'll be doing all that in a few moments' time. But first up, we've got our racecourse managers from Navan and Fairyhouse. So a very warm round of applause. Welcome in, Peter Killeen and Peter Rowe. How are you guys this morning? I suppose everyone else woke up wanting to put their head back under the blankets, but you guys were delighted with the rain.
Yeah, I suppose this time yesterday we raced here on good firm in places. We'd been waiting for the rain. We're 5 inches back on this time last year for the rainfall year to date. We've had a very dry spell. We had 20 mil rain, so hopefully good to firm is gone for till next spring. So I'm a lot happier than I was this time yesterday.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, and what about you, Peter? What's the situation now?
Absolutely delighted. We got 16 mils, last night in Navan. Perfectly timed for our trio chase next Sunday. And the clerk of the course, I was just off the phone to him there a minute ago, and he's absolutely delighted with the ground. Really good, safe National Hunt ground. I
mean, how tricky has it been for you guys over the last couple of months?
Well, ironically, this time last year, we were talking about record rainfall at our Meath racing launch last year. And this year, the coin is totally flipped. So it has been really, really tricky. People watering up to very recently. And as Peter says now, that's gone. We're in really good shape,
Good stuff. And I mean, looking forward to this weekend. So sorry you in particular, Peter. The Fortria, such a starting point for these horses, and there's 2 milers, the great winners we've seen over the years.
Yeah, it's fantastic. We're all waiting with bated breath now to see whether Footpad comes to visit us with him entered into Naas. Hopefully he will, but we have some real star horses in the race, and yeah, it's a cracker.
And I suppose the card overall as well is something to get excited about.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, Apple's Jade is in for the Lismullen as well, and then Gordon Elliott's horse in the bumper, whose name I can't pronounce. There's lots of these horses I can't pronounce. The one that he bought for a lot of money. Anyway, that's entered as well. So it's shaping up really well.
And what about you, Peter? I mean, looking at this time of the year, I mean, you're a month out, but you're racing the next couple of weeks and that, and just to really prep for the big Bar 1 festival.
Yeah, I suppose the problem we've had is that for the Bar 1 racing festival, we'd like horses to have had a run or two. So a lot of horses have been held up. So we've been waiting to see everyone else get the horses out. They're about 2 weeks behind. So that's the importance of seeing Navan and Naas this weekend get these horses to win their novices and their maidens. Apple's Jade can run her prep for the Bar 1 Hatton's Grace Hurdle in Navan on Saturday or on Sunday. But it's all a case that we need to get the horses out, and it's only, like I said, good to firm. It's hard to believe. Here we are, the 7th of November, and I can only say that probably good to firm has only gone as of today.
That's kind of mad. I mean, you're looking forward to the Troytown as well, and some great horses have won that. And
the Troytown. I mean, Gordon Elliott nearly owns that now, but he keeps raising the bar for himself. The year before last, he had 6 winners on the day. I think he's going for his 4th or 5th.
5th in a row, yeah.
5th consecutive winner in the Troytown. So, yeah, really looking forward to it. As I say, he really raises the bar for himself. So it'll be interesting to see what he turns up with.
It seems to be really important for these local trainers to have winners at your 2 tracks as well. I think they seem quite competitive about it.
Absolutely. If you look at the horse population that we have in County Meath at the moment, Gavin, Noel, Gordon, Tony, like there's Dermot McLaughlin, Jim Draper. Like it is really the centrepiece for the number of trainers with a number of quality horses. You'd have to say Meath is definitely the king at the moment.
And I suppose when I've been on Cheltenham preview panels with you in the past, Peter, but it is so often the case. You're going through all these top colours. Oh no, that fellow won at Fairyhouse. That fellow won at Fairyhouse. And it's sure to say for you, Peter, that fellow won at Navan.
Yeah, no, I think at the end of the year, and you go through looking at it, and I think you look at last year's Bar 1 weekend. The first race was a beginner's chase on the Saturday, and it was won by the Storyteller. And you go through the card then, and through the Sunday, the Bar 1 racing. Esprit d'Alan won the 3-year-old hurdle. Again, was up near the top. Michael Kahn was there. Then you'd Apple Jade. Then with David's Charm won the good handicap hurdle, and it was a great win then for Rachel Blackmore on the day. Again, it was another great win. And then don't forget we'd the Porterstown Chase, the Bar 1 Porterstown Chase, won by a certain horse called Presenting Percy, who everyone now sees how well he was thrown in at the time. But, every fixture, when you go back at the end of the year, you say those great horses were running. if you take our Saturday card just before Christmas, Stormy Ireland won the 3-year-old hurdle by a country mile and one of the top 3-year-olds at the end of the year, New Year's Day. Another, just after the Christmas festival, Dortmund Park won the race very impressively, the maiden hurdle. You go through every fixture at the end from both Navan and Fairyhouse, and the quality of the horses that have run there, it's just unbelievable. We are so lucky to have trainers have faith to run our good horses, particularly now here on our inside track here now, which we've developed over the last number of years. You take horses that have won in there, York Hill, Undeso, Stormy Ireland. People are now prepared to run their good horses on both tracks and to run them up in County Meath. So is that something you do at the end of the year, at the end of the jump season, sort of look back, Peter, and think, oh, they were good for us?
Yeah, no, I think Navan Forum holds up really well. It really does when you look at all the winners.
I suppose the stiff left-handed track, it bears a certain resemblance.
Yeah, and a stiff uphill finish. We all know about it, but it's a good test.
And any particular highlights you've had sort of over the last sort of year or so that you really think, oh well, I wouldn't mind that happening again?
Yeah, well, Gordon's just after walking into the room, so I'd love to see him getting 7 winners in Troytown instead of 6. But yeah, that was a big highlight for me, and it was great excitement around it, and it got us a lot of exposure as well. And to be fair, I mean, Peter just mentioned all the trainers in Meath there. I mean, Kildare is often held up as the hard to race, and I think it's Meath. I mean, Peter's listed them all off. It's incredible, really, the talent we have in the county.
Yeah, no doubt. And that really sounds like a bar stool debate. I know we got bar stools, but no, not enough drink, I don't think. What about you, Peter? Anything you'd particularly like to see again, or a particular highlight from last year you wouldn't mind repeating?
Yeah, I suppose Easter Monday and the rain and everything else, and then to see Gordon's general principle come from nowhere, to see 6 horses going down to the last with a chance, Bell's Hill, the whole lot of them. It was as competitive a Boyle Sports Irish Grand National. People, the following day they were saying, was it safe to run? Was there, every horse came home safe with no fallers in the last circuit, and that's what you want to see. Good national hunt horses. Bell's Hill was there, and he's very much been talked about as the Gold Cup horse for next year. And of course, what I'd love to see in the next 2 to 3 years is the race before the Irish Grand National, the Devonish Fairyhouse Chase, that to become a Grade 1 race. It was won this year by Undeso, so it's a 2.5 mile race. And I'd love to have a Grade 1, 2.5 miles immediately preceding the Irish Grand National, And I suppose in terms of highlights for last year, I suppose the Ryanair Gold Cup, to have 3 horses that won at the Cheltenham Festival, not run it, won it, made it a very special race. And, the winner hadn't even won Alboon Photo, who'd fallen at Cheltenham. So, for that to happen was a great. Lorena winning the mares, she's now one of the hot pots for next year's champion hurdle. You go through it. There's been some great horses, and now that the rain has arrived, we can start really plugging the year ahead. Again, thank God, and no need for watering, because this year has been probably our most expensive in terms of watering, having to do it. And then after last winter, our track repairs bills were the highest they'd been to date, because it's been so heavy. It took more men to fit it back, so we've been caught both ways. It's been a year just right off. So a medium for the next sort of 12 months, just normal rainfall, and that'll do nicely. As my wife said, I can't be kept happy. It's either too hot or too wet or too dry. But no, it's somewhere in the middle. It would be nice, but impossible. Good stuff. Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much. You're going to welcome our panel up now. Thank you very much. Yeah, we have our Meath Racing National Hunt launch here. So our panel going to join us. We got Gordon Elliott, Noel Mead, Sean Flanagan, Barry Garrity, and Brian Kane as well, going to represent from the Gavin Cromwell yard. So if they'd all just make their way up onto their high stools there, and we'll have a little chat. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. So you get our panel a round of applause there. We're going to start off with the Fortria Chase, sort of obvious starting points. Race plenty of pretty decent memories of as well. Gordon, we'll start with you. I know you're in a little bit of a rush, but
Clarkham here won this last year. What do you got lined up for it this year?
Obviously, I haven't seen the entries yet. Do need close there. Or sorry, I haven't made a final decision what I'm going to run yet. Probably on Dr. Phoenix, maybe on a tie field, all being well. That's the plan.
Yeah, good stuff. Barry, you've had a good record in this race. It's been pretty good to you. Do you have any idea what kind of rides you might be looking for in it? Or?
Possibly Ballyosheen now, but it's like Gordon says, it's just that little bit early. A lot of horses will need all the rain that falls between now and then because, like Fairyhouse yesterday, it was pretty quick, so, it'll need everything that comes. But if Ballyosheen lined up, I'd be very happy with him.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been really progressive this last couple of runs, hasn't he?
He has. He's done well, so he still needs to step up, especially a footpad turned up. But he's a horse going the right way.
And what about you, Sean? Do you guys have something lined up? Or
no, we don't have anything at the moment, so just hope for a spare. Maybe we can dig one out of the woodwork.
Good stuff. Gordon, obviously for 3 days been pretty good to you. Here, let's take off your jacket first. One asking a question. It's pretty warm up here.
I did a bit of work. It's not like the boys.
I told Gordon he needs to get up earlier. I was down with Noel, myself and Sean were down with Noel Mead this morning. Early start, got it done.
Got the job done.
Obviously for 3 days, pretty decent for you. Relatively local track as well. There's 6 winners there a couple of years ago. I mean, how good a day for you is, and how important is it to have those winners at your local track?
Yeah, listen, obviously, Navan's a very lucky track for me, as is Fairyhouse. I'll have plenty of runners, but we're obviously waiting on a bit of rain to start getting a few of them going. But we probably won't be as strong at the County Meath as the Tri-Town. That'll be more where I'll be aiming for.
And so as you said after Down Royal last weekend, like you obviously had mentioned that you'd want to get horses out and started there. It's just the weather just meant they were well short. I mean, how short were they sort of for last weekend?
They're plenty done at home, but they're all coming on from their runs. We haven't been on grass this year, but everyone's in the same boat, and thankfully the rain's coming now. So listen, it's a long time from now until Cheltenham, so we won't panic.
And the big two, obviously, Shattered Love and Samco, how have they come out of their runs?
Both of them come out of the race very well. Both of them finished second. Listen, they're in good nick, and we'll fight for another day. And
Samco, he's still all good to keep going over hurdles and head for Punchestown next?
Yeah, he's in the Morgiana, and he's entered here in a big race here. In Hatton's Grace, but I'd say at the moment the Morgiana's the plan, yeah.
And stick with 2 miles?
At the moment, yeah.
Good stuff. What about down the rest of the panel? And who are you looking forward to over the next sort of couple of weeks just before we make for Tria and looking ahead to the Troy-Town as well? Sean, we'll start with you.
It's kind of it's a lot to do with the weather as well, and obviously Noel has a stack of them ready to go. I'm not really sure where he's going with what Disco is back doing a good, but he'll obviously have an entry sometime soon, I'd say, so he'll be one that we're looking forward to coming back as well,
Road to Respect and Snow Falcon were nice highlights for you last weekend too. What sort of relatively obvious paths for them? Sort of Road to Respect heading for the group ones, the great ones at Christmas.
Yeah, I presume we go back to Leopardstown at Christmas. He came out of it great. He's 100%. He's thinking with Snow Falcon either maybe Dare or maybe the Hennessy, depending on what's in it, whether he gets landed with top weight or not. But he deserves a crack at something like that,
Yeah, it was a really nice. I mean, it looked a really nice race on paper. I mean, how did it feel to you as you rode it?
Oh, well, look at it. It rode a very good race. I obviously had the advantage of a run over Shattered Love and Monley, and I was getting weight off them as well because they had carrying penalties. So the race was really tailor made for him. But he's got his act together plenty over the last couple of runs, and he's shaped into a nice chaser now. Yeah.
Gordon, how happy were you with Shattered Love throughout that race as you watched it? Did you think, she's going to blow up here? Were you happy with the way she's going to stay on the end?
No, I was delighted with the way she stayed on. Sean's horse better fair and square on the day. She had a bit of a blow at the back of the second last and picked up the back of the last and galloped on again. But I was very happy with the way she ran, yeah. And
where might she head to next?
Listen, she's going to be entered in all them good staying chases. I'd say more 3 miles than 2.5 miles, to be honest. But listen, she'll have to improve all season. But listen, she'll be aimed at the Gold Cup and all being well.
Good stuff, Barry. What about you? Anything massively you're looking forward to over the next sort of couple of months? Again, before you give us the weather provisio, but anything else?
That is a bit of a team, isn't it? Yeah. I am, but it's kind of all your geese or swans at the minute anyway, so you're wait and see what makes the step up, but there's a lot of nice horses in England, especially Bouvardere will be out. He won't be out for a while yet. I think the fighting fifth he'll be starting off with. There should be some nice horses in Cheltenham at the November meeting there in 10 days time or so. So Gavin has Espordala in on Saturday in the Fishery Lane, so you'd like to see where he'd go as well, and what he can step up to. I'd say there's every chance I'll be in England myself on Saturday, but you know, we're waiting really to get stuck in to see where everything is and where everything's going.
Bring in you there, talk about Esport Allen, because obviously he looked absolutely brilliant to the early stage of last season, and then just slightly disappointing the triumph. But how has he been since?
Yeah, look, he got his break, and he's come back. He's definitely come back a stronger horse, I think. He got a good bit of work last week there, and over the last 10 days, I think he's just after spark, and his work has been very good. So I'd definitely be hopeful about him for the weekend anyway.
And you think he should be ready to run for the weekend, or he's show himself?
Yeah, and for the rest of the winter, he should be a bright enough prospect for the rest of the winter as well too.
Gordon, you have a couple in that Fisher Lane, will you?
Yeah, I've got 2 entered in it. I'm not sure what I'm doing yet at the moment, to be honest.
All right, okay. But you wouldn't be afraid of Esport Allen if he comes back to the kind of horse he saw this time last year?
Oh, I would be afraid of him. Yeah, he was very impressive early. Obviously, he petered out a bit on his last one, but he looks a very, very good horse.
Yeah, that's going to happen with those 4-year-olds are busy enough, aren't they? Now? Yeah,
it's obviously a very tough year for 4-year-olds. When they come out of 3-year-old season, it can be very tough for them. So it's for me, I've trained a lot of good 3-year-olds over the years, and it's what comes on to the next level, to be honest. You know, a whole different bunch of them can start winning this year.
I suppose a nice jump and into Mengley Khan. He was one of those last year. What do you reckon of him this year? He's going novice chasing, isn't he?
Well,
he's 5 now.
2 years ago he was, yeah. He's going novice chasing, yeah.
And could he start off this weekend? So he's
in at the weekend. He worked well this morning. You know, he will come on from his run, but the way he worked this morning, I might start him off at the weekend, all being well. Okay, good stuff.
Move on to the Troytown. Obviously, you've got an excellent record in it, Gordon. You're looking to win, 5 in a row now. We have a couple of galloping clues here, so just see Total Recall and Pleasant Company and their recent wins at Leopardstown and Fairyhouse. But we'll chat away over the Ladbrokes Troytown Chase, obviously coming up at Navan. Gordon, a race has been good to you. Anything you have sort of lined up for it at the moment?
I entered 15 in it, to be honest, this morning.
Yeah, well, you ran 11 in it last year.
Yeah, I'll run as many as I can. If the 15 of them get in, I'll run 15. But whatever gets in, I'll run, yeah, if they're in one piece between now and then.
And like I said, given the way the weather's going to work out, is that going to be one of your first sort of big weekends? If you sort of look at the way your horses are training at the moment, do you reckon they come on for a bit of work, that they should be close enough to...
Listen, come Troytown week, they should be all pretty fit, and there'll be no excuses come then. It's a meeting I like to target. It's 2 or 3 weeks away still, so but there's going to be plenty of rain between now and then.
And is there anything in particular, maybe away from the sort of obvious races that you'd be looking forward to? Maybe, I don't know, maybe something for a novice hurdle, the Monksville or something like that?
Look, to be honest, it's 3 weeks away with horses. It's day by day. But it's not. I will have definitely a very strong hand. There's a horse that was second in the maiden hurdle up the north, Sean. He'll be aimed at the maiden hurdle, so he'll be one I'll be disappointed if gets better.
Absolutely. Actually, the horse that you said in your stable tour, we just wanted to get back, was Malone Rhodes, who was really impressive winner of the bumper at Down Royal last week. What about him? What could his sort of path for the year be, by the way?
Just looking at the footage, we're very disappointed. It's not Mead trainers' horses you're showing. It's a Mead festival and you're showing Carlow horses.
Carlow horses.
Whoever put that together didn't do a great job anyway. Sorry, what was your question again?
Yeah, talking about Malone Road.
Malone Road won well, yeah. Listen, it wasn't the strongest race in the world, but he's been showing us all the right signs at home. And he's a nice horse we look forward to going. He'll stay at the bumpers this year.
He'll stick with bumpers this year.
I schooled the runner-up in Knowles this morning now, and he was kicking himself. He was second to 3 of your bumper horses. Felix Deju, or how do you pronounce it? Another horse, and then Malone Road. So you mightn't think it was a great race, but Noel likes his lad and he schooled well. So it could work out, I'd say.
Sean, what are your thoughts on that bumper and that runner knows? It's supposed to be pretty decent.
Yeah, no, he's a nice horse. He's a very unlucky horse now. He's after bumping into three better ones. But did he jump well?
No, jumped really well. School over fence and all.
In fairness, I had him to win the point Falju. Maybe I shouldn't be saying it wasn't a great race. He actually is a very nice horse, and he's going to win a lot of races as well, I'd say.
That's a nose horse.
Yeah, Falju,
yeah. Okay, on to the Troytown, and Razamarie is one who actually might run in the Troytown. Brian, so how's he, Neil Starr?
Yeah, he's definitely aimed. Another thing aimed for Murray. Ground is going to be the issue too, I'd imagine, like Gordon said as well. Between now and then, you'd imagine plenty of rain to get in. It's the only way it'll suit him. It was probably a little bit disappointing as of late, but yeah, I suppose again then Welsh National is the main aim, but Troytown is set for him now at the moment, and yeah.
No, me just snuck in at the end there. How are you now? It's okay, it's on.
Okay, very good. It's not a bit of a rush.
Okay, what about just talking about the Troytown? Would you have anything lined up for it, or?
We've six entered in it anyway. I suppose the horse that won in Galway there last week or the week before, Parmay might be the pick of them. Although Monksland looks like he might be okay, he might run it. And we have a couple of other ones as well.
Good stuff. And just saying to Gordon, I mean, it's a big weekend for Meath trainers. Obviously, he tries to farm it, but anything you're particularly looking forward to running that weekend, even though it is 3 weeks away?
He tries to farm everything. And he's pretty successful at doing it as well. Yeah, look, we hope to have something for the novice hurdle as well, like maybe one of the horses that won the North, or something like that.
And obviously, so Sean's already told us about Snow Falcon and Road to Respect. You must have been delighted with how they ran the weekend.
Yeah, look, you go to the races sometimes hoping that things will go right, but they all went right on Saturday, so we even beat Gordon once or twice, so it was a change.
Good stuff. And just on Snow Falcon, obviously, the lads are saying he had the benefit of a run. Do you still think there's plenty more in him? Like he'll still continue to come on for that run at the weekend? Like, as in that's not the bottom of him. Like,
no, well, I think that he's better when he doesn't run too often. We kind of mucked up his season last year a little bit when we gave him a couple of quick runs on the flat. He won a nice race in 2 mile race in Killarney, and then he ran very well in the Cesarewitch in Navan. He was second, and we made a mistake when sending him over to England to run the English Cesarewitch, and it kind of messed his whole season about after that because it kind of emptied him out before we started. So our plan with him this year is to just pick our race a little bit more, give him plenty of time between them, and also he now lives out as well, which seems to suit him very well.
Good stuff. He's a lovely horse. And Road to Respect, Sean saying he'd take those kind of grade ones. You look in Christmas, maybe Dublin Racing Festival, Gold Cup in an ideal scenario, or
yeah,
easy as that, like.
sounds easy. Yeah, look, I'm sure I didn't really discuss it with him, but I'm sure that the plan will be into Christmas again. He jumps a little bit left, so it'd make a lot of sense to go to Christmas rather than to go. He is entered in the King George, but there's one thing about Michael, he doesn't mind you putting them in and sort of making your mind up closer to the day. And I'd say that the idea with him will be Christmas. Whether last year he didn't run in the one in at the end of January or early February, I thought maybe at the time it was a mistake, and I don't know whether we'll see. We'll go to Christmas first and see what happens.
Good stuff. Gordon, I know you're tight for time here, so I might just fly through your thoughts on the Fairyhouse weekend. Obviously, the Bar 1 racing, the 3 big grade ones, the Royal Bond, Drinmore and Hatton's Grace. Good for you. Last year you won the 3 of them. Well, actually, you won all 5 of these races and the Irish Grand National as well, but it was good for you. What about the Royal Bond? You got the likes of Felix Deji in here. Is he going to...
Yeah, I think I made 8 or 9 entries for that. Felix Deji at the moment probably the strongest of our 2 milers. Obviously the owners we have and the type of horses to send us, we're not as strong in 2 milers as we'll be in 3, but he's a nice horse and I think a good bit of him.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I wasn't on it. Someone's giving me my ear there to tell. But Felix Deji, and are there any others sort of lined up potentially? Obviously, he is the top one though. Yeah,
I think I made maybe 8 or 9 entries for the race, but at the moment he's probably the one that stands out. But as I said, a lot can happen in the next couple of weeks.
And in the Drinmore, the Bar 1 Drinmore chase, the Delta Worker one at the weekend, would he be kind of your top?
We've got him, got Blow by Blow, obviously won at the Cheltenham Festival. Again, I've a big number of entries in it as well. We have to see what happens over the next couple of weeks. But I suppose at the moment, Delta Work probably, and he'd appreciate a bit further and softer ground. And maybe Blow by Blow would look maybe the main ones at the moment.
Yeah, and Blow by Blow, is he a 2.5 miler, or he ultimately won much further in time?
Listen, he wants 2.5 mile plus, yeah.
And just on to the Hatton's Grace as well. Obviously won it last year with Apple's Jade.
Yeah.
Is that the target for her?
The plan is to come back again. She'll start off in Navan at the weekend, all being well.
She will get Luna's model, yeah.
Yeah, all being ground permit. Once the ground is safe, and she'll come back here then, all being well. She's in good form, and we had an awful problem with her last year. She kept coming in season. Every day she went racing. Last year at the end of the season, she did it in Punchestown and Cheltenham. So we're after doing something. We're just trying to sort that out. So hopefully, that's all behind her now. So
do you think we didn't see the real Apple's Jade towards the end of last season?
No, definitely not. I mean, there's no arguing. She didn't run her race in Cheltenham or in Punchestown. But at the same time, she needs to improve 2 or 3 lengths to be winning them races. So you know, we knew we had a few little problems, so if we can rectify them, we'll be okay.
Good stuff. And anything else in particular that you will look for in that Bar One weekend, you know, just off the top of your head?
I just come on the Fairyhouse to be great, and listen, fair play to Barney O'Hare and Bar One, the sponsorship they're doing, dropping the prize money, it's unbelievable, you know, it's a credit to them, you know.
And that must make it easier for you, and obviously you batch enter stuff, but like, you know, when it is an easy decision to make, because obviously, you know, there's pressure on people saying, oh, why did you travel to England to that, but like, why would you when you come down the road for this kind of prize money?
Well, you bring your horse where they can win, like if the horse is good enough to come here, you go here, and if you have to go to the Hexham to win a race, that's where you go, you know, that's what I think.
All about winning the race.
Exactly.
and you're pretty good at it, to be fair, as knowing the rest of the trades will attest. Just on the Royal Bond, Noel, is there anything you might have lined up for that?
No, I'm a little bit like Gordon in that respect, that a lot of the horses that we have are sort of 1, 2.5 plus. I did enter a couple in it, all right. I entered Brace Yourself, horse won the other day, and another horse that hasn't run yet, but I think both of them horses that I entered would prefer a bit further. And
what about you, Barry? Is anything sort of in the green and yellow you think you might be looking forward to for the type of horse that could be suitable for the race?
I can't say really, to be honest. We were late enough in the Hatton's Race last year, so as regards novices, you know, you really have to see what steps up that you'd like to think they'll get a run between now and then, and you'll have a better idea of the pecking order or where you stand. But at the minute, I couldn't really.
Yeah,
it's tricky enough this year with the way the ground is. You know, people don't realise, like, you know, if you don't get out this weekend, it actually does come up tight enough in you this meeting. You know, with the way the weather's been, you know. It's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is, you know.
And I mean, when you say getting out, you mean like literally you're just not getting a chance to gallop on grass, you're not getting a chance to get away or get a run.
If you're going for any of them big, you know, Grade 1 novices, you like to have a run on the track on you. Even if you don't win, it's not the end of the world, but you like to have a run. But I mean, if you just look at what's after running for the last couple of weeks, you know, a lot of the big names haven't been out yet, and you know, it's just unfortunate the way the weather is.
Yeah, and there's little you can do about that, is there? I mean,
no, not a thing, unfortunately.
Noel, how have you found it? What have you been doing to sort of counteract this? Whether have you worked your horse differently, trying to take them around differently? Like obviously you're not getting runs into them, you just have to sit and suffer.
Yeah, no, it's been all the horses have been on the all-weathers all the time. There's no horse has been worked at home on grass at all, and I don't think anybody else has been able to do it either. It's just the way it is, and as Gordon is so right. Like, I mean, there's horses that we possibly could have for these big races, but we don't really know whether we have them or not because we don't know till we run them, and we can't run them until they're like. I mean, tomorrow I was talking about Good to Firm and Thorless, you know, and even Saturday in Naas, even with all the rain that's falling, you're still looking at a situation where it still mightn't be winter ground, you know, soft enough for the big horses. So you're a bit on edge as to running anything. And like if you get within, you know, if another week passes and you get to within a week of, or you know, even 2 weeks of this meeting, it's just getting too close, you know. So it's very difficult. But it's the weather. It's not the fact that it's nothing to do with the meeting. It's just the weather.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's not particularly an issue with novices or novice chasers or novice hurdlers where you're just not able to school them as much as you'd like, or as well as hard fitness work.
Well, it's not so much that you're not able to school them as much. But like, I mean, if you take a maiden, if you take a maiden to run in a Grade 1, it's asking a big question. Yeah. And it's like anything. If a horse is getting beaten, you're not doing him any good when he's getting a hard race, being put under pressure like that. Like it's if you can get a horse and let him find his own level and bring him along, and they'll improve as they're going along. But if you sort of put the gun to the head too often like that, you ruin them.
Speaking of the Drinrow, by the way, you had the behind Delta work. You had the second and the fourth time on that, was it?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I wouldn't have thought I didn't even enter him now because I wouldn't have thought he was in that league at all. So the horse I entered the horse to finish fourth, believe it or not, but not the horse that finished second because I think I entered Myros in it because I think he's a fairly decent horse, but he didn't handle the ground in the north at all. He wouldn't let himself down on it, and we entered another horse called Manila Fair. Both horses would probably like a little bit further, but they're two fairly decent horses.
Yeah, absolutely. And all going well, they could end up in a Bar One Drinmore.
They could, yes, they could.
Good stuff. On to the Hatton's Grace then, and we've got potentially like the likes of Applestrade, potentially Faugheen. So that's Barry, from a sort of even puncher's point of view or a spectator's point of view, it could be an incredible renewal of the race. If you look at the likes of Super Sunday coming in, the likes of Faugheen stepping up in trip, and then Applestrade defending.
Oh, definitely. But I'd echo what Gordon said as regards the prize money. It adds the incentive. You don't even have to look at England because the quality race and the quality prize money. And that will if half of those horses line up, it'll be as good as a champion hurdle. You're talking top level horses, and it's the races are being reflected by getting that because you have the prize money.
And I suppose for you guys, and you look at to ride it, seeing riding against these horses over here, and traveling to the UK, and it's always said, these better hurdle races in the UK, but that just doesn't pan out when you look at the likes of this weekend. No,
exactly. Like Bouvet, I'll be heading for the Fighting Fifth. Say they're at the start of December. I wouldn't think it's worth as much as the Hatton's Grace. Like, so why would you think of travelling? It's on your doorstep. It's easier to run locally, but you'll also be dealing with a more competitive race. And the quality is here, and the horse you name off, like if they line up, that will be, it'll be star-studded. That'll be the race of the winter, and so is a decision as well. Then where horses head after that. I mean, if Gordon's horse, if Apple's Jade heads to the mares, Faugheen could go to the World Hurdle, and maybe Super Sunday go Champion Hurdle. So it could potentially probe 3 winners. Well, exactly. It could work out that way. And you'll find out the path you're going to take on the back of that result, on who goes where, how good they are. If Apple's Jade may be better than mares, she might find herself in one of the top races. So, it's all they're all stepping stones towards the future. And Noel, will you have anything for Hatton's Grace this year?
No, nothing.
Okie doke. Let's move on that. And so we've gone through the Bar and Royal Bond. Felix Stagey, Unit 1 for that, and he's...
Yeah, obviously I've got a good few entering the race, but at the moment he's kind of the one that he's had a run. He'll probably run Navan at the weekend. He goes on any type of ground. He's got a good cruising speed. I think the race could suit him, yeah. And
then, just to recap then, Delta work on the Drimmore at the moment, but again, we don't know what's going to happen
probably
in a couple of 3 weeks.
Blow by blow, and I'm sure I'll run something else along with the two of them, yeah.
And then Apple's Jade, the main one for the Hatton's Grace. Anything else?
I've Dortmund Park. He could run either. He's not a bad horse. We're going to keep him over. He's only 5, so we're not going to jump fences with him this year. We're going to give him another year of a hurdle. So he might be one I'll have a go at as well. But I'd like to get a run to him before. And
sort of anything else on the rest of those, sort of away from those big races? Any horses you think, okay, here, I'd love to have a crack at this one for that weekend?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, to be honest.
I'm
telling you a lie if I told you something,
Right out. Sean, are you looking forward to this weekend? Were you looking forward to the Fairyhouse Bar 1 Festival in particular? I mean, how good is it for jockeying building up when you see these kind of races potentially you're getting involved in?
It's obviously when you're in the yards that have the horses that are good enough to be competitive in the races. It's an exciting time. But then again, it's early. The horses that have been going to run these races, sometimes the other years you could have 1 or 2 runs into them and you'd be kind of knowing where you stand, and you'd know a lot more about what's going to run where. And this year it's a lot more up in the air than other years. So, it's hugely exciting times, and see how it works out, I suppose.
Any particular, away from obviously the likes of Road Respect and Snow Falcon we've seen already, any ones you're particularly excited about sitting on over the course of the year?
Yeah, well, to be honest, there's a lot of young horses, but the both horses that won both maidens in the north the weekend are two very exciting horses. I think the horse Brace Yourself that beat Gardens is probably a very good horse going forward, because 2 mile was quite short for him. So when he steps up a bit in trip, he'll be an exciting prospect, I'd say.
Good stuff. Barry, what about you? Then apart from, I think, well, we don't really know what you're going to be riding, but say Espoir Delaine, potentially, where do you think he could go, or how high do you think he'd go based on what you saw of him last year?
Well, early in the season he was shaping up like, one of the top juveniles, and he lost his way then in the second half. He's a lovely quality type with a lot of scope, so if he can build on that potential, he's a horse could go a long way. So but he's in a difficult year. He's 4 to 5. He's out of juvenile company. It's not easy, but he's definitely a horse with potential.
I suppose Modus is the biggest winner you've ridden this season so far in the early parts of it. Where do you think perhaps he might head to next? Or kind of see an exciting type potentially for that year?
He's a good horse. I suppose he was a good hurdler. He won the Lanzarote. He was second in the Betfair. He probably fell short of the top level of our hurdles. He won the last day by a head, and he was all out to win by a head. So at the minute you'd have to say he's handicap potential, but to make an integrated company he'd need to step up on everything he's done to date. But he's a good type, so fingers crossed he can improve.
Good stuff. Breen, chat to you for a second, because there are some really exciting horses in around Gavin's Yard at the moment, and obviously brilliant moment with Princess Eliza winning in France, and then she went to America. That must have been nice to be part of.
Yeah, definitely. She turned out she was a cheap horse to begin with, and she turned out to just be a decent surprise. Win the big handicap over in France for Gavin as well. So she took her trip over in the Breeders' Cup that time, and she was entitled to take her shot. Unfortunately, just wasn't good enough to do the business, but. She was one she was lucky to have in the yard anyway.
Obviously, Esper Delen, really exciting. Looking forward to him at the weekend. But there's a couple more as well. I mean, Brex Draga, one that's built up a nice sequence for the yard.
Yeah,
he could be competitive.
He turned out to be a grand horse, actually, that fella. Yeah, he's very versatile, good ground. He probably is better on winter ground, I'd imagine. He won his last 3 over hurdles. He's still a novice as well, so he can enter up in any of them rated races. Or he'll be in the Grade B actually this weekend, so he is. So. But probably up against it in something like that against Jet Ski and a couple of nicer types. But he's definitely one to look forward to for the rest of the winter.
I suppose when you're talking about that, what the trainer's been talking about, I mean, he will have the benefit of fitness on his side. So I suppose that's one advantage you potentially have, even though he's been leathered for those wins.
Yeah, definitely. But all them the winter festival races there, he'll be entered up in different types there for the rest of the winter anyway. So.
A couple more names I asked you about. He said Lady Camelot, she could be interested in switch over.
Yeah, she won her maiden first time out on the flat, alright. She's probably one we're talking about going juvenile hurling with. She's shaping up to look like a type to do so. So we'll see what happens there anyway. Yeah.
Now, obviously, Yard won the big Bar 1 race last year, the juvenile hurdle. I mean, she's probably not in Esper Dalen's class, but is she still an exciting potential juvenile hurdler?
The Lady Camelot.
Lady Camelot, yeah.
Yeah, probably not that class, but she seems to be shaping up to see that she'll stay 2 mile, no problem, and loves winter ground as well. So, so we'll see where we go with her anyway.
And another one you mentioned too is Lady Aisha. So she's entered up this weekend, is she?
She won a bumper, all right. Yeah, she's shaping up to be a nice type as well. Actually, she's we're fairly excited about her. She'll go for a mare's hurdle, maiden hurdle there with her. So she's one definitely to watch out for as well.
Good stuff. Now, you missed the Fortria chat at the start, so any horses you're particularly looking forward to over the course of this weekend? We got Fortria obviously at Navan on Sunday and Naas on Saturday.
We don't actually have that many runners at the weekend in Navan. We have nothing for the Lismullen and nothing for the Fortria, so we have nothing of that. And we have a couple of horses in the bumper, all right, but we have to keep a great eye on Mr. Elliott at the moment, because he seems to be beating the lard out of us every time we go to the races. So we have a few nice bumper horses, I think, but we ran a horse on Saturday we thought was very good, and we think he's very good. He's after getting beaten every time he runs, but we think he's still a quite good horse. And Gordon's horse absolutely mowed him down, and he looks an exceptional horse, that Malone Road. So I don't know what we're going to run on the bumper yet. We have 3 or 4 in it. I haven't decided yet.
So the horse is second to Malone Road. His name?
Valdu.
Yeah, and what is he going to stay in bumpers for this season?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to talk to them again about it. It seems to be ridiculous that he didn't win a bumper, but he hasn't, and he's run 3 times and he hasn't. So I don't know.
Okay. And any other horses in particular you're looking forward to maybe over the next month or so that punters might kind of latch on to a little?
Yeah, look, I think Manila Fair will make a very nice chaser. I've always felt that was going to be he's a big Flemonsford horse. And I always thought he was. There's a very nice horse of JP's called Schoolboy Hours. He looks to go very well. He's a nice horse. He's a half-brother to Finion's Oscar. There's a lot of nice young horses, which has been very hard to know just exactly what they are, because we haven't been able to do too much with them. They've just been on the all-weather, and it's very hard to just try to find out what they are. Of the ones that have raced, there's a few bumper horses from last season. There's a horse he won here called Dream Conti. I couldn't think of his second name. Dream Conti. He won a bumper here. He's a beautiful big horse, and he won well. You really look forward to him as well now.
Just to let you know, by the way, they have the preliminary entries just been published there for the Bar 1 Racing Festival. So I think Kate might just pass them around there. Gordon, do you have to go if you're tight for time?
Okay, a few minutes ago.
Okay, Doug. We'll just have a quick scroll through these. Just looking through the Royal Bond. Obviously, you've mentioned Felix Stagey there, but a couple of others you've got in. No, you got Super Follow in the Royal Bond. Has he won the Cuppy?
Yeah, again, he's a horse we gave a lot of money for. He was it looked like a very decent pointer when we bought him. He missed a season with a small problem, and then last year it surfaced again, so I had to leave him off again. So he's after missing 2 seasons. He's going very nicely, but it's very hard to know without getting him on grass. And look, I stuck him in. I suppose it might be it's the same story. Like, you know, if you got to run into him, he's ready to run. But if you got to run into him, you've got to be thinking about going. But without a run into him, it's maybe a shot in the dark, you know.
And Young Day or Daily Tiger as well. He's one of your kind of sweet.
Yeah, he's another horse last year. He won his bumper and kind of he looked a very sharp horse. And he missed when he ran his hurdle race. He disappointed us, and the decision was made then to leave him. And he is a fast horse now. He's quite a fast horse. So 2 miles will suit him well.
When would you hope to have him out?
Well, to look, it's the same story. You know, if we could get him out, and he had a problem with a wither problem, which we couldn't get a saddle on him for quite a while, and it just held him up. But he will be ready in the next couple of weeks.
Good stuff. Just looking through the rest of these. Anything else that stands out for you there, guys, as you're just looking through those basic entries? Going to see Farkle there. Will he run this weekend in the Fishery Lane, or is he? We could end up possibly in the Hatton's Grace potentially.
No, I'd say I'd give this weekend a miss. He woke this morning and he's actually had a wind operation, and he's just not where I want him at the moment. So he's probably a couple more weeks off running, to be honest.
And he could, maybe see him at Navan or something like that, or just start him on 10 clean off.
I'll start him. I'm going to keep him over hurdles, and we might step up and trip a bit this year as well. So you'll see him in all them good staying middle distance hurdles.
Yeah. Okay, good stuff. Barry, you're gonna
just a horse Bort mentioned was a local one as well. Darren McLaughlin, Carnardia, the one in Cheltenham last week. He's a horse who's definitely on the up. He's probably going to have a winter break, but he's one maybe to watch out for in the spring.
Anything you look like you be ringing your agent and say, here, look, get me on these. If you look through those entries off the top of your head,
there was one that stood out, Lorena.
Yeah, you definitely get the right on that. That's a scoop for you right there.
That'd be the one to get on 2.5. Yeah.
Be perfect. Well, what about you, Sean?
I see an awful lot of Gordon's and Willie's names down along on this. So look at it. It's as you said. I just like I love to ride like Lorena and things like that. But sure, it's just hard to know really what's going where. Yeah.
Gordon McKay is a horse who's with you now. Used to be at Willie's. How is he settling in?
Yeah, he's in good form. He worked this morning. I've mentored at the weekend, but he's probably a fortnight off going somewhere as well. He's a nice horse. He's only beaten a couple of lengths in the Grade 1 last year over hurdle. So, he's one we're looking forward to.
Novice chasing.
Yeah, something like the 4 mile chase in Cheltenham or something. There's a race I have in mind for him at the moment.
Okay, good stuff. I know has someone passed you a sheet there? Anything else? You go on though. Pass down along the line.
Huh? Yeah. I can't see.
I'm sorry. You need to get the glasses out. But look, it's an absolutely brilliant weekend racing. Anyway, lads, if anyone sees anything there along those entries that I really like the look of, and we were just saying.
Sorry, I just forgot about it. A juvenile might come here for that Grade 3 hurdle, Currasive Lime. He won up and down right at the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's a nice horse, and the plan is to come here for the Grade 3, all being well.
Okay, that's the one that Esport Allen won, the juvenile hurdle.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, good stuff. So Curse Sublime, is it? Yeah. So there you go. There was one to Gordon. The Curse Sublime in the juvenile, bar 1 Grade 3 juvenile hurdle. Okay, well, I think we've exhausted them of all they're going to tell us or not tell us about their selections or horses they're most looking forward to. Do you have any questions from the floor? If anyone wants to pop their hand up, I can run down with the microphone if you want to ask a question. So feel free to pop your hand up. We have a couple of minutes. Yeah, Will, hold on.
I know it's a shot in the dark, but Gordon, any chance Sam Crow might turn up for the Hatton's Grace?
There's every chance, yeah. You never know in racing what can happen in a day, never mind a week. Listen, at the moment, the plan is to Morgiana. Obviously, Eddie's in America. I haven't really been speaking to him since we went at the weekend, and Michael's very busy, so we'll probably have a chat over the next week or so and see. But listen, you never say never in this game. He's entered in the race, so you never say never.
Very exciting entries for all 3 races. 84 entries in total. Fantastic.
Good stuff. Anyone else want to pop their hand up if they have a question for the panel? Yeah, go here.
Just a question for Noel. Just wondering how much you think Road to Respect has improved from last year. Obviously, going into that racing down Royal last year, he had a run. This year he didn't have a run, and he's obviously really impressive, won by 16 lengths. So, just how much you think he's improved year on year?
Well, it's hard to know whether he improved or not, because it's hard to know just whether the others ran up to par. Sean and the guy that rides him out, Sean rides him most of the time. When he doesn't, my second in command, Damien McGillick, rides him, and both of them were adamant that he was in fantastic form. And even though he was weighing 22 kilos heavier than he was at any stage in his life before, so he weighed in going to the north at 562 kilos. When he won his beginner's chase, he was 540, and that was the heaviest he was ever at any stage. And I was actually worried, but the two boys kept saying, no, he's right, and they were right. I was tempted to give him another piece of work, but they said, no, don't work him anymore. He's fit as a fiddle, everything's right with him. And they were proved very right. So whether he improved or not, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine, because you'd have to add up the race and see what you think yourself. But I think he gave him a masterful ride in the fact that he had him full asleep for the first half of the race, and the horse wasn't really, he was only lobbing along and just taking out his fences as, like popping over them and whatever. Like even Sean said to me after, he was so asleep under him that he was wondering was he there at all, when he go for him. But he said when he picked him up and he asked him or said go to him a second, all of a sudden he just jumped into the bridle, and it was like as if he just switched on. Now, if the others ran anywhere near their best, which I'm sure Balcott Flo didn't, but if they were in, he has improved. But who knows? I don't know. We'll see.
Okay, look, anyone else got a question for the panel? Put their hand up. No? All very shy. Okay, look. No panel, no questions for the panel. Okay, so a massive... You going to come in for questions? Okay. Do you want to?
Yeah, go for it. Noel, there's many stars that you've pointed out this year, but ultimately, would it be your dream to win the Gold Cup?
I think it'd be anybody's dream to win the Gold Cup.
And who would you like to win it with?
Anyone of mine will do.
Good stuff. Thanks a million. Okay, well, thanks a million to our panel. So thank you to Noel Mead, Brian Kane, Barry Garrity, Sean Flanagan, and of course Gordon Elliott as well. So a big warm round of applause for our panel here on Meath Lunchtime. So you guys are off the hook. Thanks. Thanks a million to all the guys on our panel. Thanks for joining us here this morning as well. And of course, we'll see you all hopefully at Navan on Sunday.